Greetings, family. Peace, love, and finding a solution. This is Guru, and thank you for joining my channel. Today's vlog is about Philadelphia's retired police captain, Ray Lewis. He recently spoke out against the killing of Terrence Crutcher of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Let's go to the story. Family, I'm going to read off a series of questions that he was asked in a recent interview and some of his wise words that he had for the black community and possible suggestions and solutions. Take a listen. In the Terrence Crutcher, Tulsa, Oklahoma video of his killing by a police officer, we saw him laying in a pool of blood, gasping for air, trying to fight for his last breath. And with that, we saw police officers just standing around. And so with that, we're asking, are police officers required to render first aid to people they have shot? What is their common protocol? Here's what retired Philadelphia Police Captain Ray Lewis had to say.
Obviously, that's the basis of all police work, the protection of life and property. So no matter whether he's a bad guy or a good guy, you have to render first aid once the threat is neutralized.
So family, we just heard that the basis of all police work is the protection of life and property, whether a good or bad guy, once the threat has been neutralized. I believe after watching the video of the killing of Terrence Crutchers that did not happen at all. So the follow-up question would be, what stops police officers from rushing to the aid of a victim they just shot?
Primarily two reasons. Number one, the officers are never held accountable. I don't know of one case in this entire country where an officer was fired due to not rendering first aid. Not one. So they're never held accountable. That's number one. Number two is the attitude police officers have toward minorities in these neighborhoods. I worked with an individual, and he once referred to the minority members of the community we worked in as roaches. If you shoot a roach, you're not going to be that interested in rendering first aid.
Okay, well, that's something we always knew and have known for a long time, is that the police officers are never held accountable. And I'm just going to say right now, we know that this police officer, I forget her name right now because really she's not important to me, but she is looking at first-degree manslaughter. And did you catch that? They have it and find it so hard to charge a white person with murder against a black person. So they call it first-degree manslaughter. I mean, I've never heard this kind of crap. Only with white people do I hear this kind of crap. It's shenanigans, more shenanigans. Because if this was a black person that committed this heinous act, they would have charged the person, especially a black police officer. They would have charged him with murder, first-degree murder, and that's what she should be charged with. Even Donald Trump has weighed in on this, and we're going to get to that because I want that piece in this vlog, and I hope I don't forget. I'm going to put it at the end of this vlog. So at the end, I'm going to be putting even something that Donald Trump has spoken up against this. I was surprised, just like you, if you haven't seen the video. But I digress. We're going to get back to this one. So the next question is, how can officers be held accountable for not rendering first aid in cases like Freddie Gray, Michael Brown, and Terrence Crutcher?
All comes down to the responsibility of the community. They have got to put pressure on the mayor to make changes within the police department to hold officers accountable. The thousands that we have rioting now, I want to see them surrounding City Hall in the major cities, thousands of them, demanding changes in their police departments. And they'll have the agenda they're looking for. And if you have police arresting thousands of peaceful people, That will have a much more effect in getting the change you want. What they're doing now is counterproductive.
So, family, this man is speaking so much truth. You cannot deny it. He claims, and he says it boldly, it's the responsibility of the community. You have to put pressure on the mayor to make changes within the police department to hold these officers accountable. We're not doing that. We're not doing that, people. He also says we need to surround City Hall in the major cities by the thousands and demand changes within the police departments, because what we're now doing is counterproductive. And it is. Okay, when you turn on your TV and you see that family were out there destroying the neighborhoods that we live in. We won't call them our neighborhoods because we don't own them. We don't own things in them. So we'll just call it the neighborhoods we live in. When we burn them up, we're still there. You're just surrounded by the destruction. So we need to be smarter than this, family. I ask that you be smarter. We need to find better solutions. Now, if you really want to know the train of thought I come from the Malcolm X side, the Marcus Garvey. I lean more towards that train of thought than Martin Luther King. Okay? We saw what they did to Martin Luther King. Even when he was nonviolent, they still killed him. Do you understand that? Even when Martin Luther King Jr. was non-violent, you still killed him, white people. This is an issue, and it's with you. It starts and it ends with you. Stop pointing your fingers at black on black crime when you have white on white crime. You don't want to talk about that, but talk about that first before you even get to the black on black crime then. Since you're talking from a white perspective, you should start from a white perspective and talk about white on white crime before you get to the black on black crime. You see, because it's all shenanigans. It's more of your shenanigans. Again, and I'll say it a third time, Martin Luther King was non-violent and you still killed him. So, your excuses are running out. They're running out. The lies are running thin. So, are the officers trained to do CPR? Because we've heard that, we did all we had to do, which was to call the ambulance. But no, police officers are public servants. They should be trained in CPR. I would think that would be so negligent if they weren't. So let's hear what what he has to say about this.
That's well, if it is for that city, and no way Chicago would be not trained in first aid. That's a mandatory training session in Philadelphia, and I would think in other cities. And for CPR, every officer is issued a sanitary mask so they can put that between the lips in case the individual needs first aid. Also, it's a Boy Scout thing you learn even in the police department's enforcement. Put pressure on the wound. Even if your hand, take a napkin, a handkerchief. It was mandatory, by the way, in our equipment that you had to have a clean white handkerchief kept in a white clear plastic bag. Take that out, put it on the wound, put pressure on there, and either transport that individual in a car, or, depending on the time, do you wait for the ambulance?
So once the shooting has occurred and the police has shot a victim, when is it that they change from a tactical position to a recovery or a rescue position? When is it that they make that change? Because we didn't see any change during the time of the Terrence Crutcher killing. They just stood around and just did practically nothing.
Every situation will be different, but But they have got to determine that they are safe in approaching that individual. The police should take no unnecessary risk. And by that I mean you don't just run up quickly saying, hey, I have to render first aid. First, they must, from a safe position, shout, see if they get any response, approach slowly, keeping an eye on the individual's hands, and continue to approach until you realize this person is no longer a threat.
And this is what's disingenuous and what is really disheartening and troubling with the Justice Department, law enforcement, and the actions of police officers is when you make those claims when in fact it is the police officer who is being violent. Once again, I have to get back to that. You make the claim that, oh, you have to make sure that everything is safe and that the hands are clear and all this and that. You guys just shot a man. He's not even moving. As a matter of fact, you're not even thinking your bullets may have even paralyzed the person. And you guys are talking about, oh, we have to take our time and get to the person. You guys are acting like you're the victims. God. And you guys have guns. God. I don't get you guys. I don't understand you people. And you have the nerve to talk about black people, though. That's a lot of nerve. Okay, so it's rightfully so, and the community is outraged when we see the police standing around while a man is laying still breathing and they're not helping. What do you make of this? And part two of this question is, how would you solve this issue?
As anyone can see, they're just milling around. Same thing as when you drive along a highway and you can see construction workers and you say, look at them, 5 of them doing nothing. I mean, they do have their job. They're just waiting for something. But you can't just wait and hang around when somebody's bleeding to death in front of you. One, it's only fair to the officer. You have to make sure they're trained in what you expect them to do. They have to know exactly what's expected of them. And you do this during a session, during roll call. Every roll call has got to have some type of training every day. I had it. I had my sergeants administer that training, and the officers, upon leaving the roll call room, sign and receive the written handout of that training. So they have to know what they're expected to do. After that, once they know what they have to do, you have to hold them accountable. That means firing them if necessary, suspending them, whatever it is. There's got to be some level of accountability.
You know what insults the intelligence of black people is when you constantly keep talking about these grown adults, grown so-called men and a few women who you keep saying need training. You act like they're monkeys, like they're robots, like they're little children almost, as if they don't know right from wrong. And before I finish this vlog, I gotta play this piece by Cheryl Underwood because you know what? On this training part, we gotta talk about that for a bit. Let's see what Cheryl Underwood had to say.
You don't have to train the police not to shoot white people. Why you gotta train them not to shoot us?
So yes, when we see the police just milling around, and they have a responsibility for the protection of life and property, whether a good or a bad guy, once the threat has been neutralized, then I'd say you have not just the person who you are charging with first-degree manslaughter. That's what maybe some of the other officers who just stood by and watched, maybe that's what they should be charged with, while she, the actual person who pulled the trigger, should be charged with first-degree murder. It's that simple. In order for the community to trust the police, you need to do the right things by the people you want to gain trust from. And you're not doing that. Not at all. And so what you seem to be doing, and you keep putting it back on black people, is you are declaring war on the black community, and that is bad. The Department of Justice should be all over this. As a matter of fact, other countries should be all over this. You guys are talking about America first. Could you imagine if other countries just started not doing business with you or stopped doing everything for you? Could you imagine if they did that in our cause? Could you imagine if they became the Colin Kaepernicks of the world? You would be in a heap of shit. And I bet you would straighten up then. You're messing with God's people. You're messing with fire. So we see in the state of Chicago how, in Illinois, the city of Chicago, we see how they have coincidentally in need of 1,000 new officers. Coincidentally, how they've created the environment that is there. Because the black community does not believe that it's just been orchestrated by the black community. No, we believe that just like the CIA infiltrated crack cocaine into our communities, we also believe that the police have something to do with the violence in our communities. We believe that you have something to do with the violence in our communities, especially in Chicago. Again, it's a coincidence that you now are in need of hiring more officers. Coincidentally. All it takes is for people to open up their eyes and see around, and then it just starts becoming clear how certain things are really odd. So, the question is, do you believe the investment in more police officers is the answer to it all? And who benefits from it all? Let's see what retired police captain Ray Lewis has to say about this.
They're investing millions and millions of dollars in more officers to arrest more poor black people and send them to for-profit prisons. People in Chicago are not going to benefit from this. The filthy rich people that own these for-profit prison companies are going to benefit. We cannot arrest our way out of these socioeconomic problems. You have to take those millions of dollars that they're investing in these thousands of officers, start putting them in opening up playgrounds that were closed, open up the libraries that they closed, expand the after-school programs. These communities need resources, not more police. It's like hiring more police is like putting a Band-Aid over a melanoma mole. What you're doing is you're addressing the symptom, but not the cause. You're never going to arrest ourselves out of this problem with more police.
And family, that was the extent of that interview. And I have to tell you, it was very enlightening. I think he says some very poignant facts that we should consider and take in a factor. Going down, like I said, in the thousands, storming City Hall and demanding that the police, demanding that they make changes within the police departments, really be on the mayors of these cities. These people are elected through us, and we have to remember that we have that kind of power. But what we're doing right now, as he stated, is counterproductive. I don't like other people telling us how we should be protesting. No, I don't. I agree to that. I don't like it. But at the same time, I do see the truth in what he's stating. And so with that said, family, peace, love, and let's find a solution quickly. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I mentioned that I had another something else that I wanted to add to this video. Actually, it's a couple things. We're going to end this off with two things, with Cheryl Underwood and Donald Trump. Stay tuned for a second.
First thing you gotta do, you gotta make it a hate crime. You gotta put people in jail. When you shoot somebody under the color of authority, you need to lose your job, and you need to lose your livelihood, and you need to lose your freedom, like every other American loses their freedom. That's right.
And family, you know something is up when even Donald Trump says Terrence Crutcher did everything right and he's troubled. Listen.
To me, it looked like somebody that was doing what they were asking him to do. And this young officer, I don't know what she was thinking. I don't know what she was thinking, but I'm very, very troubled by that. I'm very, very troubled by that. And we have to be very careful. So, I mean, these things are terrible. That was, in my opinion, that was a terrible situation. And we've seen others. And the police are aware of that too. By the way, the police are troubled by it too. They look at it. Now, did she get scared? Was she choking? What happened? But maybe people like that, people that choke, people that do that, maybe they can't be doing what they're doing. Okay? They can't be doing what they're doing. So,
Family, thank you very much for your time and watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please like, share, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe. If you have a comment you'd like to leave, I welcome all comments too, except for the trolls. This is Guru. Thank you for watching. Peace, love, and let's find a solution, and fast. I'm out.